get an acceleration. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a review on my brand new 2022 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 Xtreme Recon. First and foremost though, a shout out to myself, and then also to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler and Provo. So the shout out to myself goes to the fact that I'm obviously providing the vehicle for today's review. And if you guys aren't subscribed already, I'd recommend subscribing. I've got that, the Gen 3 Raptor, and then also the Ram TRX, so tons of fun content on the channel. And then a shout out to the, again, Larry H. Miller, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Chrysler, and Provo. They're the ones that sold me the Wrangler. They gave me an amazing deal on it. Really awesome dealership, easy to work with. So reach out to them if you're interested in buying a Dodge, Ram, Jeep, or Chrysler. Let's get into the video. So under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 6.4 liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 13 around town and then 17 on the highway, with power outputs being 470 horsepower and then 470 pound-feet of torque. You guys can also see the hydro guide there at the top, and it's just so awesome to see how crammed in this engine is. I mean, look at this. There's like no space there. So yeah, definitely cool. And also the gold accenting and the carbon fiber, also another nice touch. Now let's go over the front end, and before you guys ask, yes, it is finished in Tuscadero pink, which is one of the coolest colors I've ever seen on a Wrangler. And before you guys comment about how this is a girly color, this is actually the most masculine color ever, because think about how masculine of a man you have to be able to drive around a bright pink Wrangler and take yourself seriously. I'm just saying, just putting that out there. Anyways, you've got the 392 logo there. You've got the Rubicon logo. Notice it's got the gold accenting around that. That's part of the 392 package. And then the hydro guide. Now, something that I love about the 392 hood is it's actually a lot heavier than a regular Wrangler hood. Now, that might be annoying to you guys for opening it, but it's great because of these. So with the regular Wrangler hood, when you close the hood, you have to like kind of press down on the side to get these to lock up. But this hood's so heavy that it just like sinks down, and you can just like easily latch and unlatch these. So it's kind of like a positive. You guys can see the LED accent light that also doubles as the turn signal. And then we've got the projector bulbs here with the LED accent light around it. Satin front grille, which is an option you can get. And then you guys can see the front camera. Now it's got the gold tow hooks. I almost said cold because it is cold outside. Steel bumpers on this one. And then you guys can see the fog light there at the bottom. And overall, from a front end perspective, I think it just looks super cool. Now, coming around the side here, we've got 17-inch wheels, and wrapped around those we have 35s. That's part of the Xtreme Recon package. So the wheels kind of had, you know, a bronzish appearance again to match the gold accenting on the rest of the 392. They are beadlock capable. Now, for this 35 Xtreme Recon package, again, you get 35s, and then it also gives the Jeep a little bit of a lift. So the 392 is lifted 2 inches higher than a regular Rubicon. This is lifted 2.5 inches higher than a regular Rubicon. So there's a little bit more of a suspension lift. And then you guys can see here with the setup from the front end. And what I actually found out is they part of the reason that they were able to lift it is they just took the bump stop system from the Gladiator, threw it over here onto the Wrangler, and so there's a little bit of that going to actually get the lift. And then you do get the Fox shocks with the 392 package. With the regular Rubicon Xtreme Recon, they just stretch out the standard shocks, so you don't get any upgraded shocks, which is a little bit disappointing, but that's one of the reasons why I got the 392s, because it does have the upgraded shocks. Still have a solid front axle as well. You also get these little fender flare extensions, and then I got this with the body painted fender flares because I think that looks a lot better from an aesthetic perspective. Can't get body painted mirrors though, which is a little bit sad, but you know, it is what it is. Body painted hardtop as well. And then you guys can see here with the fender flare extension in the rear. And also got the rock rails there on the side. And then here's a better look so you guys can actually see the Fox shocks there in the rear. So again, I'll say it one more time. If you get a 2.0 with the Xtreme Recon or a V6, you do not get Fox shocks. So I'd recommend upgrading your shocks as soon as you take delivery of that Jeep. So here is our key fob. We have our unlock, lock, remote start, and then we've got the horn, and then Jeep logo, and then it does have the little flip out key. Definitely a cool key fob. Now you guys can see here in the rear, we've got the LED lights, again, fully loaded, so you got that fun package. You've got the reinforcement here so that it can carry the spare tire, which is also a 35, pretty cool. Got the camera there in the center, and got a little icicle, I guess. And then notice the recovery hook also finished in gold. And then opening this up, it's actually pretty heavy with the 35 there on the back. I love how you've got the 392 here and how it's like all gold with the accenting. And then lifting up the window, that's all normal. Pushing this back, you can see you've got the Alpine sound system. And then underneath here, notice you've got that for the top. So everything's labeled for all the nuts and bolts, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And 12 volt. Now with the 392, you can only get this in a 4-door, so you do get a decent amount of storage space here in the back. It's kind of like not a massive SUV, but it is like a larger size SUV from a cargo space perspective, if that makes sense. And then closing this up, again, pretty easy setup, but this is heavy. Definitely heavy. And aside from that, there's kind of like your full rear view on the 392, which again I think looks so cool with the pink and the kind of bronze accents. And then you can see the aggressive exhaust tips with the 392. Now here is the door panel for the 392. Notice again with the stitching to match the exterior accents. Then you get the padding. These are the same seats you get in just a loaded up Rubicon, so there's nothing special about them except the stitching. So just as easy to clean off and all that. And room back here is okay, right? It's not massive. You think it'd be better, but it's not that great. And then you guys can see here with the vents, and then you've got the window controls, USBs, all that fun stuff. Headroom, though, on the other hand, I will mention is amazing. And then I recommend this in all my Jeep videos. Get the top insulation. It makes a massive, massive difference with sound and with heat and cold insulation, all that fun stuff. So yeah, definitely get it. But so yeah. So here's the door panel at the front. You guys can see again with the padding and the stitching down below. We've got mirrors that do have blind spot monitoring. And then you can see we've got all of our mirror adjustments, door lock and unlock. And then here are the front seats. The only thing special about them is Rubicon 392 logo on it. Again, got the stitching to match exterior. The seats are manually adjustable. The reason that Jeep does that is because you can spray off the interior, which I'm a little bit skeptical of because the new Bronco has power seats and apparently you can spray off that interior. So I don't know, apparently Ford knows something Jeep doesn't. But anyways, you guys can see the pedals just down below. Got the light control right here with the fog light. Steering wheel is manually adjustable, and there's where I'm gonna look before you pop in. So let's start things off with the steering wheel. I think it's funny that like the sun's like halfway through the steering wheel. So you've got really nice leather here at the top, and then perforated leather here on the side that you don't get on like a Rubicon. And I love just like the grippiness of the steering wheel. It feels great. Paddle shifters there on the back, and again you've got the stitching to match everything on the exterior. It says regular cruise control and adaptive cruise control. Phone controls, voice command controls, controls for the center stack. You still get the radio controls here on the back of the steering wheel in normal Chrysler format. Turn signal stock, windshield wiper stock, all that normal stuff, and well, there's the steering wheel. Here's the gauge cluster. It's just the regular Rubicon gauge cluster basically. So you've got the RPMs, and then you guys can see the speed, and then you got that center screen there which you can scroll through different bits of info. I do have the tire PSI a little bit higher than what I want it to be at. I'm probably gonna lower it down to like mid 30s roughly, just so I get a little bit of a smoother ride quality. And I might actually do that before the driving portion of today's video. You guys can see the off-road stuff too, which is pretty cool. And then notice here with the fuel economy, so this is what I've been averaging so far. Obviously it's only got 285 miles on it. We'll see what I average after more mileage, but you know, not as bad as I thought. I mean, for having 35s, a 6.4 Hemi and a 4.56 axle ratio in the rear end, I am pretty shocked that the fuel economy is that good. So here's the center infotainment system. First off, we pop it into reverse. You guys can see we've got a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. And you got the different viewpoints, and this also turns the steering wheel too. Now you can also clean it, which is cool. No bird's eye view or anything like that. We do have heated seats, and notice you can access the cameras through there. Heated steering wheel, dual zone climate, no air conditioned seats. You won't see air conditioned seats for a long time in a vehicle like this until they can figure out how to make that technology survive with water and sand and dirt and all that getting on it. Navigation as well. As for the infotainment system, response time's great. Also, we've got the off-road pages, which take forever to load up. So while those are loading up, you can see analog controls down here for the infotainment system, the heated seats, heated steering wheel. Notice we got like the recirculate, that's a little Jeep. We do have our exhaust button. And it does make it makes a significant difference with the valves open or closed, and then like our little off-road cruise control. Now that the off-road stuff is popped on, you guys can see everything. So notice the sway bar sway bar connected, axle unlocked, and it just lets us know steering angle and then what we're in, 4-wheel auto right now. And then you can see the accessory gauges and then pitch and roll. And then I love how there's like another thing for trail cam, even though you can access that not through the off-road pages. But yeah, there you go. Down below here, we've got the window controls, and then you guys can see here with the USBs, 12 volts right here, and then all of our auxiliary switches. We've got 4 of them. And then we've got our off-road plus, which if you press it, notice it'll turn traction control off. So pretty cool. It's kind of like your built-in off-road mode. So we got the sway bar disconnect. We've got the front and rear lockers. So you can lock both the front and the rear, or just the rear. And here's the whole like situation. You have to pop the Wrangler into neutral, and then you can go into 4-wheel high part-time, because you have 4-wheel auto as standard, 4-wheel high part-time, and then you have neutral. So you have to get it into neutral, and then 4-wheel low. So it's kind of a process just to get it into the state to where you could use the front and rear lockers or the sway bar disconnect. But let's say that you're in that and you want to get out of it. What you then have to do is slowly drive forward, pop the Wrangler into neutral, just to get out of 4-wheel low, pop it into neutral, and then that's what will allow you to get into neutral. With this, you have to like kind of hold it up for a second, and then it'll go into neutral. It's, like I said, it's a process. It takes some time to get used to. I played with it the other day and I was like, wow. This is, it's awesome that it has it, but yeah, definitely it takes a second to get used to. At least the lockers and everything, they're pretty easy to get in and out of. You just have to like roll forward or backwards a little bit is what I noticed, and then it'll kind of go out of it once you've pressed the button. And this is how you, it's this button right here to press it off if everything is locked. So yeah, there you go. Got a couple cup holders here with the key holder, and then you guys can see the brake with the stitching. Center console right here, pretty normal stuff, nothing too crazy. That's the owner's manual, by the way, because it won't fit in the glove box. Speaking of glove box, it's pretty small. So yeah, got your regular grab handle, can't talk, and then you've got gray metallic trim. A lot of people complain in the Rubicon it has the red trim. Well, if you get 392, you get the gray trim. So yeah, pretty cool. And then popping up top again, like I said, insulation. So for this first part of the top, you can take this off with just these handles, and then for the back part, you do have to use tools. So for most of the driving, if you're gonna do like top-down driving, just take off these 2 panels. It's super easy to do it on and off, depending on if the weather changes and all that. And yeah. So here's our window sticker for the 392. You guys can see the base price is $77,000. So higher base price than a Ram TRX, believe it or not. But anyways, you guys can see standard equipment. Notice 373 axle ratio is standard, and this is what I want to talk about on the drive, because this is very, very important. You can see all the rest of the stuff. I'm sorry, it's standard with it. So it pretty much comes fully loaded standard. The options I have on this trailer tow package, again, Xtreme Recon as well. The headliner, which I recommend, it's well worth $500. And then the trail rail management system. I don't know if I'm even going to use that, so we'll see what happens there. And you guys can see solid sub bonnet top by Mopar. So I guess we'll have to play with that for a video. Satin black front grille, which I think looks cool. California emissions, and then integrated off-road camera. I want to figure out what exactly, because I'm in Utah. I know there's like certain things, regulations and everything, where if you're around California within a certain distance, you have to have California emissions, or automakers just do that. I want to figure out exactly what this does to the 392. If you guys know, let me know in the comment section below, because I think I should just get rid of it, because I'm not in California. But you guys can see the total MSRP there, $86,060. And the thing that I want to mention about the price here is this might seem ridiculous, but just go look online for used 392s right now that have the Xtreme Recon package 2022 model year. You will be absolutely shocked. I have seen prices anywhere from, on the low side of things, like $120,000 to like $140,000. And so even though this looks like a high price, the market value is so much more. So if you can get one of these at MSRP, you're buying an appreciating asset right now with today's market. Let's drive it. let's talk about visibility before we set off. There's visibility of the hood, both of the mirrors, and throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So setting off here in the 392, here's what I want to say. First and foremost, we have the valves closed, so the exhaust is in quiet mode. And when you have in quiet mode, like, it still sounds like a nice V8. If you guys have ever driven Ram 1500, just completely stock truck, no exhaust, that's kind of, I mean, it sounds a little bit beefier, but that's kind of what the sound you get. Now, you open up the valves, and it's a huge difference. I mean, turns into like a Corvette. Like, it's pretty crazy. And this is why I love the Jeep. Going over train tracks, going through potholes, it's like, I don't care, I got 35s, it's not gonna do a thing. So that's one of the cool things about this package. But I wanted to focus on why I think the Xtreme Recon is like the coolest thing that Jeep's ever done, even though it's not a perfect package. And I will talk about the things that make it so this isn't a perfect package. But first off, the gearing. It fundamentally changes any Wrangler. Now, if you get, like, again, the V6 or the 2.0, it does seem to kill fuel economy at those quite a bit, but it helps out with acceleration a massive amount, right? That's just what re-gearing does. And so definitely makes acceleration better. And on this, it is such a huge difference. So I reviewed and drove a 392 with the 33 tire package and with, you know, the 373 axle ratio. And I'll be honest, when I finished reviewing that, I go, I probably never want to own this. I go, after driving this, I probably will never own a Wrangler. But let's get an acceleration. Like, it's just crazy. It's a Jeep. Yeah, I did it. I drove it, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably never gonna own a Wrangler because this just doesn't feel, it didn't feel right. And, you know, that was, I drove that back to back with my TRX, and I'm like, that thing, I mean, it felt good, but like, I don't know, it didn't feel as like quick as what I thought 470 horsepower would feel in a Jeep Wrangler. But then, you know, this package came along, and I drove a V6 version, and I went, this is something special. So then when this opportunity came along, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just risk it, and if I don't like it, then worst case scenario, it's gonna be worth way more than what I paid for it. And I drove it the first time on delivery day, and I was shocked. This re-gearing just fundamentally changes this in such a positive way. It feels fast. This feels as quick as the TRX. I want to do a race side by side to see which one's actually quicker, but I think this is as quick as the TRX 0 to 60. Like, it feels that punchy, and so that's a big benefit of the package. The 35s look great. They give you more ground clearance, all that fun stuff. So there is, you know, pretty big benefits to having 35s. Now, the downside, this was kind of rushed, right? The Xtreme Recon was rushed because Ford has the Bronco Sasquatch, and Jeep is like, well, we are like the off-road brand, and we can't be beat by Ford. So they quickly pulled together the Xtreme Recon. So on Wranglers that have the 2.0 and the V6, literally all they're doing is, again, they're putting a Gladiator bump stop, and they're just kind of lifting it a little bit and stretching the shocks. And so it's not necessarily the most what's the word for it, best engineered thing ever. It looks great, it mostly works, but what that means is if you get a regular Xtreme Recon, you're probably going to want to change out the shocks, just straight up. With the 392 with the Fox shocks, it does really well, and from what I've heard from other people, it sounds like it's adequate. It's more than enough that you wouldn't need to switch out the shocks. We'll see, maybe I will in the future, but so far I've really liked the performance of these Fox shocks. So that's something to kind of know about the package. And so I guess we will do a full circle around this roundabout, which is always fun for me to do. There's so many roundabouts here where I live now, so it's kind of something that I'm not used to, but now I gotta get used to it. So so many things up with this. First off, exterior wise, I think the Xtreme Recon on any Jeep looks fantastic. I love the satin black front grille. It breaks up the, you know, coloration on the Jeep, and so it just creates some contrast that I think looks great. Interior wise, I think it's a nice interior, but it's disappointing that this is significantly more expensive than a V6 Rubicon, and it has the same interior, right? I feel like since I'm paying, you know, so much more than a regular Rubicon, I should get a nicer interior. So I'm probably gonna like do like a seat swap, for example, with this, so I can get nicer seats. And then from a driving characteristic perspective, the steering still, like, look at this. You still have that loose Jeep steering, right? Because it's four-wheel drive, because it has a solid front axle. But this thing is so fast, it sounds amazing, and it's just a riot to drive. Again, I've got a Gen 3 Raptor, a Ram TRX, and this. And I know I just got this, but, and so like, you know, there is, you know, that kind of like you just got something so you want to drive it all the time, but still, I don't even drive the TRX anymore. I just drive this and the Gen 3 Raptor because, like, if I want like a fast, fun V8, I'm just like Jeep. And then if I want, you know, to have a more like luxurious experience, I just pop into the Raptor. And so I guess that means something, right? Overall, amazing package. If you can get an Xtreme Recon 392 for MSRP, not financial advice, buy it. Seriously. You will not regret it. It's an amazing vehicle, and again, not financial advice, but it, especially since they're discontinuing this engine, it is going to be worth significantly more than what it already is right now. But after the engine's discontinued, I only see the values going higher. And so this is a vehicle that's, in the short term at least, it's going to beat the stock market. So that's going to sum things up for our review on this 2022 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 Xtreme Recon. I guess you should say my 2022. I'm used to reviewing other people's cars and not mine. Anyways, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe. I'll see you guys.